is the everlasting wealth that is capable of removing ignorance, just as light removes darkness. An oil lamp is lit to bow to knowledge as the greatest of all forms. I invite Mr. Kaiser Dupaishi, President of SAIBSA, Mr. Ashok Saraf, President of Rajasthani Sammelan, Ms. Archita Rajpuria, Joint Secretary of MBIS and Trust of Rajasthani Sammelan, and Ms. Shagufta Parkar, Head of School of MBIS, to light this auspicious lamp.
Lord Ganesh is worshipped at the beginning of every important event. He is the vanquisher of obstacles and bringer of good luck. Mehek Babar from grade 6 will now invoke the blessings of Lord Ganesh through a short recital in the Indian classical dance form Bharatnatyam.
Good morning, everybody. Respected President of Rajasthani Sammelan, Mr. Ashok Saraf, President of SAIBSA, Mr. Kaiser Dupaishi, heads of schools, teachers, and my dear students, on behalf of MBIS, it is my proud privilege to extend a very warm welcome to you all. Mr. Ashok Saraf, I thank you for having spared your valuable time to grace us with your august presence here this morning. Your being here is a source of inspiration for us all. Today, in the knowledge age, teachers are change agents who are expected to lead reforms in curriculum, in students, and in the community. The rapid rate at which knowledge is becoming obsolete, teachers need to become lifelong learners. For every school that makes it a priority to drive forward standards in teaching and learning, raising attainment levels and tackling underachievement, the imperative of capacity building in teachers cannot be overstressed. One of the fundamental and in fact celebrated approach towards the teaching learning process of the IB educational philosophy is collaboration. At MBIS Mumbai, we firmly believe that while we are all on the same team, what we lose in compromise, we gain by collaboration. We are indeed delighted to host the SAIBSA session for the community of IB teachers today. These sessions are an integral part of promoting the spirit of the IBO and helping us to improve our practices by making connections between IB schools and a continued commitment to professional development. It is overwhelming to see such a large gathering of 400 IB diploma teachers from almost 39 IB schools from across the western region of India and the south. We are all here to share our ideas, beliefs, abstractions, and even interpretations in 28 varied subjects. I am sure it will be an experience which will be intellectually gratifying and personally benefiting. Here, I would like to share an ancient Turkish proverb. No matter how far you have gone on the wrong road, one thing you can do is turn back. And adding on, as IB learners, we would say, and share your experiences so that others avoid the wrong road. As IB learners, we too firmly believe in the ancient proverb. Once again, I take this opportunity and welcome you all to this SAIBSA Job-alike session. Have a great day.
Good morning, everyone, and I welcome you all on behalf of Rajasthani Sammelan and the Mainadevi Bajaj International School for this event today here. A special welcome to Mr. Kaiser Dubashi, President of SAIBSA, and to all the principals and teachers who have come here. I am overwhelmed by the numbers present here, and I'm sure this is going to be an enriching experience for all of you. The Mainadevi Bajaj International School has been started by Rajasthani Sammelan in 2009. We are an infant school and the first IB school in the Malad area. In October 2011, Mainadevi Bajaj International School, in its infant stages, arranged an international students exchange program, and our students went to Germany, and then the German children came here, and this has been going on 2 instances, that is 4 occasions have taken place. We believe that our children should be exposed to international education, as very soon the world is going to be a global village, and our children should be trained to fight the challenges that will come in the future. Rajasthani Sammelan is a 65-year-old trust, and we have more than 14,000 children coming in this campus every day with 500 staff members. We run 4 schools, a Hindi medium school where we teach 2,000 girls who are underprivileged at 10 rupee fee for the last 55 years. We also have an SSC English medium, an ICSC, and an IB IGCSE, that is the Mainadevi Bajaj International School. The philosophy at Rajasthani Sammelan is to educate all segments of the society, and we believe that education is the only way by which we can take our country ahead. We run a junior college, a degree college, a management school affiliated to University of Mumbai and AICT approved. This year, we are going to start a media college for the first time in Mumbai. The team at Rajasthani Sammelan wrote the syllabus for the Bombay University for the media college, and we will be introducing media courses in Devi Prasad Goenka College of Media Studies. We also run a women's hostel, a counseling center. I once again thank all of you for coming here today, and I'm sure this is going to be a good event. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I request you to please come on stage to felicitate Mr. Kaiser Dupaishi. With a huge round of applause, let's welcome Mr. Kaiser Dupaishi on stage. Mr. Kaiser Dupaishi is the president of SAIBSA and currently the principal of Singapore International School, Daisar. Thank you, sir, for being with us today. I now hand over the mic to Mr. Dupaishi to take over the proceedings.
A very good morning to all of you. Please smile. Okay. At this point of time in North India, we are having another job alike going on parallelly, and there are 16 schools there. There are about 200 out there. So 200 there, 400 odd over here. Okay, so we are joined together in spirit, if nothing else, right? Thank you for coming, as well as believing in the philosophy that we are basically one community, and that the model ahead of us is about being with each other, shoulder to shoulder, and sharing and showing how we can grow with our sharing. While having said that, I just wanted certain other factors to be highlighted. Tomorrow at NES International School, we are having the DP job alike for 5-year review, which is going on tomorrow. So it's pretty busy day, because I kind of did that pretty much at the last moment, because when we had on the first SAIBSA SAIBSA meet, there was a request that every year we should have now the DP 5-year review, and it should be on Sunday, so people who are coming from afar can be Saturday as well as be on Sunday out there, and so make it happen in a more more smarter manner. So that's happening then. We are also looking forward to the PYP, which will happen in April, first Saturday, I think that is 5th. That's the PYP job alike, and the MYP we'll be having at ECOL in April. The dates will be told to you. At this point of time, there are certain new subjects which have come into play, and one of them is sports, science, and health. Whichever order that is of, I put sports in the beginning because it's a sports program, right? There are just 3 of them in this thing. I just wanted to highlight there are just 4 schools offering that course, and 3 of them are here and wondering what to do, what's next ahead of them, but it's interesting that piece is also happening. We are also having SEN personal counseling and career counseling. What we are hoping to do is that when these specialists meet, and there was another request that the specialists often are left out while the subject areas, all looking here and smiling away, are most of the time here, but the specialists also need to get on board. So the specialists would, and the librarians, lest I forget them, yeah? All the specialists would be looking at evolving their professional development workshop. So we're going to have a special workshop for all these people in the coming year. From the month of April, we'll start, and these would be sponsored, and it would be run exactly on the same line, which is on a Saturday and a 1-day affair, but it would be, for them, it would be more a workshop other than sharing, okay? So that's that much of updates from me. The next time we will meet would be in March. We have another meeting when people go up to the regional conference in Singapore, and that's where you'll probably be meeting, okay? Without much ado, I think that's that much from me. Right now, what we thought also was to talk in terms of what is our role while we are looking at diploma program. What is our role as teachers, as educators, with regards to student placement, college placement. So we have a presentation right now, which by the way is happening here and also happening out there around the same time, okay? And that is the role of the DP teacher in college placement. So I call upon, unless I'm skipping, I'm doing good? Yeah, oh, great. I call upon Bhakti Shah to speak on that. Okay?
Good morning, everyone, and it's a pleasure to be here. And first of all, let me just tell you, I'm a little nervous. You can't blame me, because I'm starting at 400 teachers, and the last time I did that, I was in school and I was in trouble. So it's really great to be here, though this time I'm not in trouble, hopefully, and I'm going to be sharing some insights and probably trying to have some kind of interaction if time permits. I would first of all like to thank SAIBSA for letting us be here. Thank you, Mr. Kaiser Dopaishi, for letting us be here. It's great to be able to be a part of this community, which really facilitates collaboration. So while we're just getting this set up, so first of all, let me start off by saying that I'm in a room full of multitaskers. And I know that as teachers, each one of you have multiple roles to play in your school. If we can just go on to the next slide. I know for a fact that each one of you play, if not one, several of these roles. Either you're in admin, or you're a facilitator, or you're an evaluator. And through all these roles, the one thing that remains constant, though probably not consciously, but unconsciously, and that is counseling. Okay? Now, every teacher at heart is a counselor. And how many of us disagree with that? How many of us agree with that? Fantastic. Good. So we all know that at heart we are counselors, okay? We are mentors, and we're doing it day in and day out, whether we are officially told to or not. We're doing it. But the point here that we're going to talk about is, how can you do it consciously and try and make a difference in the decision-making of the students in IB1 and IB2? We'll specifically stick to DP, okay? How are you going to be able to make a difference to their decision-making? Now, first question is, why are you best placed to play this role? In all your schools, especially IB, we know that you have robust career counseling sessions and cells, okay? You probably have designated career counselors. So why do you as a teacher really need to get involved? Well, it would not be wrong to say that a student actually spends more time with you than probably a career counselor and his own parents. Well, you're just competing with Facebook there, because they probably spend more time with Facebook than they spend time with you. But the fact is that you spend an awful amount of time with these students. So if we go on to the next slide, we will see that you are the best suited to give them this direction, because you understand their interests, you understand where they're coming from, you are able to suggest and evaluate the various options that they have. You're able to really take them through the process of this decision making, all right? So what we have here is you have suggesting. I'm sorry, I cannot see the slide. Can we just, yeah, really? Can you hear me actually this way? No? Can you hear me now? No? Okay, never mind. Okay, click one more time, please. So, suggesting, relating their academic performance to college majors that they're going to go on to select. Now, their academic performance is as important as their interests. So I might be really interested in doing engineering because of various stimuli hitting me from everywhere, including, thank you so much. Okay. Yeah, can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay, fantastic. So you're able to first understand their interests, then you're able to relate their interests and their academic performance with their subject selections, all right? And this is really pertinent because nobody understands their academic performance in specific subjects the way you do. Suggesting career streams based on their academic performances and interests, and thereby ultimately also going on to evaluate the suggestions that you've made. Evaluation is actually the most critical part of it. It's one thing to say you can do this, 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 this. It's another thing to go back and say, okay, maybe not, let's look at your other options. So can we go on to the your career counseling life cycle with your students? However, how do you start? It's so intangible to say identify their interests. How do you do that? All right? There are certain key questions that we have identified that you could potentially ask as teachers over a period of time. And this could happen through your grade 11 and 12. You could ask certain key questions like, what are their career ideas. What are their ideas? What is it that you think you can do? And these ideas will stem from different places. They will stem from what my parents tell me, what my cha-cha, mama, kaka will tell me. And in Indian society, we have a lot of that. We do. There's a huge influence of family and, of course, the media and the internet. Once you have identified what they have in mind as per your interests, the question is, do you like it? It's one thing to think I want to do it, but it's another thing to actually like it, all right? So separating the influence decisions from what is really inherent in the child, based on the past activities that they've done. Does the child enjoy Mock United Nations? MUNs are chock-a-block in your calendars, I know that. And I know that there are students who really enjoy that. So if they have certain skills which are letting them succeed in those competitions, it's not wrong to say that maybe those skills will actually stand them in good stead in making good decisions, career decisions. Can they do it? So it's one thing to like it, but aptitude is a completely different ballgame altogether. I love math. Trust me, I think I have dyscalculia. And I'm not joking. I think I have dyscalculia. I would love to crunch numbers, but I can't, okay? So the question is, can you do it? Are the subjects suitable to you? Do you want it? Do you understand as a student the challenges, the cross-functional areas of that particular profession? So for example, a lot of students say we want to get into advertising, for example, okay? Now advertising is not glamorous only. There's so much more to it. For example, you have tight deadlines. You have to do tremendous amount of client relationship management. Are you going to be able to handle that? Are you going to be able to handle that pressure? Engineering. How many of us think that that's the most popular subject in our schools, engineering? Could I have a show of hands? Ooh, that's awfully less. I don't believe that. Okay, of the schools that I've spoken to, I mean, I've made presentations in over 50 schools now, and without fail, barring one or two schools, the consistent feedback has been engineering, business management. These are the top two preferences, okay? Now, if a student wants to do engineering, the question is, you know, the student thinks in his mind, I'm going to become an engineer. Yeah, but you have to do something to get there. And what you have to do is get through 4 years, if you're in India, of grueling college. Can you do it? That's the question they need to answer. And last but not the least, the typical day test, okay? Now, we are talking about IB schools here. The fundamental of IB schools is collaboration. So it's not such a bad idea to actually consider having this as a part of your agenda through the academic year. Think about it. You have networks, you have parents that belong to different professions. Some of you are probably already doing it, but I don't know if that's happening to the extent that it could. You could actually propose a day in the life of, okay? So you identify the interests of IB1 or IB2 students, and then you realize that based on the patterns of interest, let's try and arrange a day in the life of experience for those students. So if you have a film director as one of your parents, you could probably encourage him to take your children to the sets and understand what is it actually to work in films like. So that is something that you could really tangibly do. Now, the second aspect of your involvement, which is basically an overview, is the academic counseling part of it, okay? So in that, first of all, subject combinations, all right? We're all involved in subject selections, all of us are. And sometimes students select subjects before they actually select the career that they want to get into. It could be interchangeable. It's career first or subjects first. In either case, it's really important that as teachers we are equipped to understand that certain subject combinations will lead to certain career paths. And what does that mean for the child? Okay, so if I, as a student of IB, am wanting to do engineering, sorry to get back to engineering again, but that's the most popular. If I want to do engineering, but I don't want to take physics as HL. And I've heard that many times. Do you think that's possible? No, it's a no-brainer, isn't it? So there are some no-brainers, but there are others which are out-of-the-box combinations. I'd quickly like to share an anecdote with you. And a big good morning to everybody behind there, so you can just kind of, are you all asleep there or you're listening? Fantastic, okay, good. So, there was a student that we had in one of the schools down south. It was an Ivy school. His father owned a chemical factory, okay? So he wanted to take on that as his family business. He wanted to take on the chemical factory. So what are the subjects do you think that he could potentially do? Yes, ma'am. Chemistry and business management. Okay? Now, in IB schools, that's the most wonderful part of your curriculum. The combinations are killer. You can take combinations that nobody else probably can. And that is to your advantage. And use it. Use it to your advantage. Help your students select combinations which make sense. Okay? So, once all of this is done, you're talking now, this is all about the students. Okay? But there are two other important stakeholders which we absolutely cannot ignore. And those stakeholders, can we go on to the next slide, please? Those stakeholders are your school counselors. I think that row is full of school counselors right here somewhere. School counselors, it's their designated role to help students with college placements. And then you have parents, okay? So when it comes to school counselors, collaboration is not such a bad idea, all right? We are in the same school. We probably bump into each other every single day, or maybe twice a week or thrice a week, depending on how often they're there. It's not such a bad idea to schedule and plan meetings with school counselors to discuss children in your subjects, specific students in your subjects. It's really not such a bad idea to discuss each child and to be able to identify and share their strengths and vulnerabilities with the career counselor. Because what happens in the classroom does not necessarily happen in that office, in the career counselor's office. So it would be really helpful for the career counselor to know what's going on in the classroom. And parents. Now, we've all faced this part of it. We meet them very often. They have sky-high expectations. They think their children have to go to Harvard, or they have to go to Princeton, or they have to go to Cambridge. And well, sometimes they probably cannot. But it is your role as teachers, and not just the career counselor's role. It is your role as teachers also to be involved in feeding information to the parents. And this can be done in a very systematic manner. You don't have to schedule meetings, separate meetings. You can do it as a part of your agenda in PTMs. I'm sure a lot of you do that. But if you don't, you could include this as one of the things to discuss with your IB parents. You're talking about discussing their child's future planning. What are the subject combinations? Do they make sense? Are parents always involved in subject selections? No, sometimes they're not. So it's really important to give that feedback. Now, once you have covered, can you go on to the next slide, please? Thanks. Once we have covered this, how do we break it into tangibles? So a lot of what I'm saying could possibly be a little abstract and based on individual interpretations. But if you get down to tangibles, you can really break this into 2 years. In year 1, in IB 1, the expected outcome would be to finalize the career course and country. This is the ideal thing to do. And if you were to be involved as a teacher, your goal for year 1 would be to be involved in this decision making such that you know every single student's career goals. That would be the expected outcome in year 1. In year 2, you're talking about shortlisting, one more time please, shortlisting colleges and writing letters of recommendations. Now, you are obviously not going to be involved in college applications because there's a separate team to do that. but you definitely can be involved in making suggestions for colleges. I'm sure a lot of you do that. For those of you who don't, you could get involved in that. But the letter of recommendation part of it, how many of us have written letters of recommendation? Quick show of hands. Wow. Okay, that's a lot of us. And how many of us realize that this is a really important part of a student's application? This is a really important part of a student's application. So, if you think that it's just another supporting document, well, it is a supporting document, but it's a really important supporting document. And we've got this feedback consistently from IB schools, especially IB schools, to help with drafting or understanding what is an ideal letter of recommendation. Now, for the want of time, and for, in the interest of the time and the schedule, I'm not going to get into too much detail, but I will definitely get into certain aspects of the letter of recommendation. Now, what is a letter of recommendation? It's basically, typically, 1 page to 1.5 pages if you have a lot to talk about. That's the length, the ideal length. Try not going overboard with the length of the letter. The goal is to basically provide an overall assessment of the student's ability to get into a particular course for a particular university. Okay? And it obviously boosts the chances of getting into universities. Now, making a strong letter of recommendation has 4 cornerstones. This is what we have identified. There could be much more to it. But this is, if you break it down to the basics, you're providing specific information about the student. Be as specific as possible. The reason is, you are writing a letter of recommendation for multiple students at a time. Okay? You're probably churning out letters of recommendation. And it is really important that in order for each one to stand out, you need to be as specific as possible. And you can do that if you write about the student honestly, okay? Providing the context of how you know the student. Now, let's not spend too much time in the letter on this part, but this is certainly important. So if you say that I have taught the student over the last 2 years or over the last 1 year, and I've worked with him over several subjects, and not just subjects, but several activities and several projects, that adds weight to your knowledge of the student because you know him outside the classroom as well. Displaying how you know him personally. What I just said is also part of that. And highlighting why he would be a strong candidate, obviously, the recommendation part. But apart from this, what is important to understand is what you should not be doing. What you should not be doing when you're writing a letter of recommendation. We go on to the next slide. These are the no-nos, okay, which you could try and steer clear of. If your letter is too short, if it is too short, I have seen, I mean, it might be unbelievable to some of you, I have seen letters of recommendation which are like 2 paragraphs, half a page. That's too short. It won't add the weight it should. If you're just summarizing the information that's already available in the application, it's really important to be slightly aware. I know you don't have the time to get into the details of the application, which is where the collaboration with the counselor comes in. You could have a quick overview of each student's application that you're writing a letter for, and understand what is it that has already been mentioned that you could probably avoid in your letter, okay? Letters focusing on too much context of how you know the child, okay? Too much context. No, it's okay. Keep it brief. Don't need to get into too much detail about it. And last but not least, this is so important, unsupported praise. I have read so many letters which say, he's a good student. What does a good student mean? What does that mean? Does it mean he's a good human being? Does it mean he's well behaved? Does it mean that he's good academically? What does it mean? It doesn't mean anything, to be honest. You have to be specific, and if you're saying that the student is a good team player, support your claim by saying because he's involved in team sport, he's been leading his team for inter-college or inter-school sports, whatever. It has to be supported. And last but not least, focusing on experiences that happened many years ago. If you say that in grade 6, the student was so-and-so, Do you really think that matters, what he did 6, 7 years ago? I mean, not as much, really, unless it's outstanding and he's been for some NASA trip or he's been in outer space. I don't think it really adds that much weight. You have to be as current as possible. So this is a brief snapshot of letters of recommendation. We are here for the next few sessions, for the next few hours, to talk to you about further details of college counseling in one of the breakout sessions. I am actually done, but I want to understand if anybody has any questions regarding their role as a teacher. If we have the time, do we have a few minutes? Do we have a few minutes? Okay. Well, if you do have any questions, I'll be happy to answer them. If you don't want to ask it right now, we can break out and we can interact one-on-one. That's fine as well. Yeah, sure.
Hi, I'm Ellen. I teach IB film at SIS. Most of the students who sign up for film want a career in film. However, one of the things that would be great for me to bring up in the college counseling session is the portfolio requirements of different schools, because they're actually very narrow in a lot of schools, and so it would be important to me as a teacher to formulate a curriculum that allows them to create those portfolio pieces. I'm sure visual arts has the same sort of criteria for the schools that they want to get into. So it's important that we're aware as teachers what those portfolio requirements are.
Yes.
And what the options are in terms of, different levels. There's difference between film study and film production. The same in visual arts, there are so many different categories. So it would be important, I think, in the career counseling session for them to be more aware of the portfolio needs of arts.
Ellen, right?
Yes.
Okay, fantastic. I think that's a really, really good point that she's brought up. She's saying that it's really important for especially the performing in the visual arts and film studies faculty to be aware of the portfolio requirements that the students will have for college placements and what they could do as a part of the curriculum to help the students create a really good portfolio. Am I right? Is that right? Okay. This is a point noted. This is actually something we can get into great detail. So I will not talk about it here, but we will definitely take this up in one of the Java-like sessions that we have, the breakout sessions. We'll make a note of that, Ella. Thank you very much. Is there anything else? Okay. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, I'm Dr. Poni Chako from International School ANB.
Right.
I just wanted to ask, a student should get how many recommendation letters? And the second question is, when you write a recommendation letter, isn't it advisable to write a caste-related thing? Because in US universities and all that, they give a lot of importance to activities, caste and all that. So shouldn't the letter of recommendation have these activities on board?
Absolutely. To answer the first part of your question, how many? That is, the ideal number is usually 2. It totally depends though on the university, but usually it's 2 letters of recommendation. If you are talking to, if you're the CAS coordinator, or if you're not the CAS coordinator, the best part is the interrelatedness of subjects in IB. So even if the student is going to go in for engineering or science related stuff, you can still talk about his CAS projects and kind of connect that. And that is where the connectedness is important, because if you were identifying early on what he wants to do, then his CAS projects could also kind of be related. His TOK, his extended essays could kind of related to what he's going to do ultimately. Okay? So it makes sense to know and connect early on. It does. And yes, CAS is very important. In fact, I'd just like to add, there's University Rochester in New York. It's a good university for a lot of engineering and business courses. And we met with Jonathan Burdick, the director, last 4 months ago, I think. And he mentioned that for IB students in India, what they're really looking for, that they give weight to, is the extended essay. Okay? And they really don't look at SAT for that particular university, which was a little surprising to us. But they said, we really don't care about their SAT scores. We're looking at their extended essay. And that's really important to us. So, yeah.
So they send the extended essay with the application?
Yeah, they have to mention the topic of the extended essay.
Not the essay.
well, later on. Because what happens is if they're making applications well in advance, then obviously they cannot do that. But when they do at the time of admission, they definitely do give weight to the extended essay topic, and then ultimately you do have to submit your extended essay as well. Yeah. Yeah.
Regarding the extended essay, is it necessary that the child is doing the extended essay in the same subject of which he or she wants to pursue the higher education? Because most of the schools do not want like all the students to pursue their EE in the same subject. That will be an additional burden to the teacher of the subject.
Yeah.
So how?
Okay, so this is again when you come back to basic identification of interests. If you have identified as a school early on the broad interests of each child, it'll then be easy for you to assign or to help the students identify the topics of their essays which are related to what they're going to do. Of course, IB is also about dynamism. So it does not mean that if I'm going to be an engineering student, I don't have to talk about economics. That doesn't mean that. But certainly, how can I connect economics with science? And there are so many ways I can do that. So it's really important to have that connectedness. It does make a difference. It would definitely make a difference. Yeah. Okay, fantastic. So I'm really happy. It's been a good session. You've been a great patient audience. Sorry for the few yawns out there. I was trying my best to be as entertaining as possible. We will have some interaction outside once we're done. Thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much.
It appears to me you've had a very healthy conversation and the conversation refuses to die down. Okay. Yeah, this is the time to quickly, yeah. Yes, settle down, settle down. I'm sure you want to go home fast. Oh, you want to sit here? Oh, that's good. Right. Okay. Yes, thank you very much. Yeah. Can you imagine teachers taking so long to keep quiet? All right, okay. Right. First and foremost, I think I'm just here now, right now, to give a vote of thanks. So I'll lace my comments by saying that in the month of December, I gave a phone call to Mrs. Parker, Shagufta, and that phone call emerged in my visiting the place. And the issue was, you know what, we are a small school, right? But I'm sure you could by now have understood it's a small school with a large heart, right? Okay. And so how many people will come? I said it will be about 400 odd. Plan for 400. Will the chairs fit in? Which kind of chairs need to come in? Please understand the logistics of this kind. Then going up to their office and saying, how many classrooms do you have? Where is who going to sit down? Chalking out those details during my wonderful December holidays. Yeah. Yeah, so it was very exciting working that piece out, right? And first and foremost, we need to thank the people who were really, really involved in it. Look at all the things which has happened, bringing you guys in, taking you into this building with those wonderful lifts, yeah? And how you were lifted up and down with pretty much a lot of planning has to be done. Can you imagine? Yeah? And I think I'll start, I think, with firstly, all the staff who were behind all this, the students who were behind all this. Can we give them a big round of applause? Then moving on to Mrs. Parker and the coordinator. Where is she hiding? She always hides herself. Shirley? Yeah. Come here, Shirley. Yeah. Come here. This lady didn't leave me alone in peace. She was moving spirit. Give her a nice big round of applause. And of course, the lady in question herself, Mrs. Parker. Yeah. About Shirley, by the way, she was in my school, Singapore International School, before the migration happened. All right, so she was a little migrated bird here. Then I discovered she's over here, which I knew of course. Okay, it was evenings. I said, ring me up at 7ish, 8, anytime, and this conversation was going on. I went to Hong Kong in between, and the conversation was in Hong Kong. Okay. So she makes sure that I was in that loop, getting that done. Also, we'd like to thank the food, and I think the food was a luxury thing, and all those people, especially the operational staff who were at the backbone of all this. I think we kind of tend to lose sight of people who are working in the background, the maintenance, be those gentlemen trying to, get my voice projected here, or your IT department. I think all those little pieces put together, makes an occasion. And I always notice that it just takes a day, and to them, I was telling them, at the evening you will think it's all over, and so much of effort gone for this one day to bring so many people in, right? So for all those people, those cameramen, those people, IT and the maintenance, as well as the people in the food who gave us a very good spread, to all very big hand. And finally, what goes without saying is the people who facilitated, who came in. There were some areas we had 2 facilitators. We had people tough time kind of putting both people together, but I think it just worked very well. Everybody came together. So for all the facilitators, which provoked such a discussion that the discussion refuses to die down here. Yeah. So a round of applause to all those facilitators. Right? And finally, and not last but the least, but you guys. It's you who make the discussions happen. It's you who lend, in the PYP, I say the most foolish questions are actually not foolish. They are like intelligent questions, out of the box questions. So all questions are good questions, right? And to kind of have all of you there, new, old, and as I'm looking at, there are new people, there are older hands, and I've had gone through a whole lot of, job alikes, right? And so I can sense that there is a lot more, healthy discussions. I can see a lot of workshop leaders, heads of schools, experienced practitioners willing to share. Trust me, this wasn't there in 2001, 2002, 2003. It took a whole lot of effort to get some people here, whether it was whoever, Jamna Bhai or a Dhiru Bhai or whoever, to just get them was a challenge. But I think we have come a big way in getting all of you guys here. Thank you, all of you, for coming and making this collaboration a healthy one. Look at the numbers which have come down here, and opening those windows up, those doors out, and allowing fresh breeze to come in. Thank you very much. All of you deserve a round of applause. I think a little harder would do for you all, isn't it? Yeah. Great. Finally, looking at the numbers running into 400 odd and stuff like this, and the demand from South India, and I've been talking to South, and this is Mr. Kaiser. Nowadays, you're not having it in South India. That's because you have moved to Bombay. I said, doesn't depend on me. No, Mr. Kaiser, it's not good. So I had to remind them, public memory is very short. It was like, in so-and-so year, it was held at Chinmaya International School in Coimbatore, then at Kodaikanal International School in Kodaikanal, then at Indus International School, Bangalore, then in Canadian International School, Bangalore, and then after that it came to Mumbai. And then Pune, etc. But anyway, what we're going to do next year is also have a third one coming in. Now I see South stronger. So Sarla Birla will be hosting a third one down in February. And what we will do is we'll have 3 different dates obviously set up, so that it is all possible to, if somebody misses one, can go to, or if you are traveling to Bangalore and you are there, well, attend the Bangalore one instead of attending the Mumbai one, so on and so. So we're going to have much more of that. Also, Riyadh, where are you, Riyadh? Riyadh, yeah. Frank reminded me of something about some things happening, like the TOK, when we had a discussion in March. You're going to have something for TOK teachers and okay, CAS is at Cathedral? Should have been there. It's a hill station. You can go climbing there. Yeah. TOK is in? At Cathedral. Extended essay? Okay. South Bombay for provocative thinking. Yeah, great. and Goldcrest would be? CAS. Okay, not bad. Navi Bombay, you have not gone there. Yeah. Great. So those 2-3 pieces, you'll see an email to that effect coming in. As I said, tomorrow is the 5-year review, which is happening over there. PYP and MYP in April. Then in April itself will be career counselors workshop. I'm just summarizing it as a good teacher so that it remains in your memory. Okay, so if you have given your emails, etc., when wonderful, we will be in touch through your coordinators and otherwise individually also with you. Thank you very much. And now they have something to tell you.
We would like to present each facilitator with a token of our appreciation. Without wasting much time, we will start with English literature. Ms. Arani Samtani, could you please come up on stage? Ms. Ina Soni, IGCSE coordinator and English literature faculty, will be presenting you with a token of appreciation. I request all the facilitators to stay on stage for a photo session. Next, we have the English language and literature facilitator, Jennifer Brook. Could you please come up on stage? Okay, Jennifer Brook is not left. Okay, Hindi, Mr. Pramod Trivedi. Ms. Sangeeta Gupta, our Hindi faculty, will be facilitating. Ms. Madhulika Pandey. Ms. Rini Ghosh for Spanish and German. This is Ms. Madhulika Pandey. Ms. Rini Ghosh for Spanish and German. Ms. Pradnya Patil, coordinator for pre-primary and primary, will be facilitating. Ms. Supriya Atal for business management. She's left. Okay. Saumin Sinha Babu for economics. Ms. Padma Rao will be felicitating. Chrisanne Almeida. Ms. Chrisanne Almeida has left. Mr. Amit Rastogi. Mr. Amit Rastogi was the facilitator for ITGS. Request Mr. Rahul Thakkar to felicitate him. Mr. Kaiser Dubaishi, who facilitated geography workshop. Ms. Shagufta, you will be felicitated. Mr. Frank Brakya. Ms. Shaman will be felicitating you. Dr. Lakshmi Murthy. Ms. Anupa will be felicitated. Ms. Bindu Balakrishnan. Ms. Shirley will be felicitating you. Dr. Anuradha Sridhar for chemistry. Yes. Anulatha Sridhar and Tantujat Rehan, both will be felicitated by Anila. Miss Mo Maiti and Bipul Pandey. Miss Jasmine Madhani. Miss Jasmine Madhani for Math, SL and HL has left. Miss Deepa Iyer. Oh, she's there. Okay. Miss Jasmine Madhani. Mr. Rahul will be felicitated. Miss Deepa Iyer for Math Studies. Mr. Sean Lewis for Visual Arts. Damle sir, our art teacher, will be felicitated. Miss Padmavati Suresh for TOK. Mr. Sachin will be felicitated. Mr. Riyad for CAS. Mr. Ganesh will be felicitating you. Miss Pramila Agarwal and Miss Misha Jain for SEN. Miss Pradnya will be felicitating you. Miss Kunjan Dedia for personal counseling. Miss Jasmine Zaveri will be felicitating you. Miss Suchita Vasant for career counseling. Mr. Neil. Mr. Karan Bahadur Singh, my mistake, for sports and health science. Ms. Sudipta will be felicitating you. Surya Prakash for computer science. Mr. Tenzin for library.
If you wish to have the pictures, whatever they have taken around, All of you, how many of you on Facebook? I'm there. Okay, good. Good Lord. Not very many are there. Can I have the hand going right up? Yeah. Oh, okay, good, good, good. You'll find it there. Yeah, SAIBSA, go to SAIBSA, okay?